breakfast this morning is an avocado that I brought from Aldi that was 49 cents. I probably have 3 more servings of that and 2 eggs scrambled. It is so easy to eat frugally and still eat well. And these are some of the things that I'm sharing with you while I'm on my RV adventure in early retirement. Some of my plants didn't weather so well on the trip down here. They had to ride in the back seat because of the freezing temperatures. I couldn't put them in the trunk. And just with things, kind of falling on them, the cold temperatures, the doors being opened and shut, it made some of them a little wilty. It made a few of my celery leaves start to turn a little yellowing. And I watched them real close and pulled those all off to freeze them so I can still use them in soups and stews. They'll be fine. I took the broken onion pieces and the ones that were really wilty from the weather. I'm cutting those up to freeze those. They will still be fine in soups and stews. I didn't bring any onions with me. We're actually still using the ones that we bought from our trip down in November. They were so huge. And if you remember, I bought 2 that were like 1.5 pounds each. So we've been using those plus the frozen ones from summer this whole time, and I'm going to make good use of these and continue to grow the celery and the onions and the lettuce. And I have a couple of broccolis sprouted and started now, and I brought the rest of my green tomatoes that I had been growing in the back bedroom once it froze the first time in Kansas, and they're starting to turn red. So yeah, that's what I'm doing, using up everything I possibly can, even if it's looking a little rough like this, we're going to make use of it. I have my onions in here in the bathroom, and they're on this little ledge by the bathtub, and they're actually thriving in here because we have a skylight. So it's like their own little personal sunroom. I do want to move my plants outside, but until it warms up just a bit, I can't do that. So all of them are in here with me, toughing out the weather. Here's my celery, still going pretty strong, and these were made from kitchen scraps. And then my broccoli, my lettuce is all thriving here in the little bit of sunlight that it can get, and my orchid. So if you haven't guessed it already, today's video is about food and how to save money on food and what I'm eating right now while I'm living in my RV in South Texas. I'm not changing the way I'm doing things. I'm doing things the way I would normally do them if I was still at home, because frugal is my lifestyle, and frugal affords me the opportunity to be able to do this through the winter. So this is not an extended vacation. This is an extension of my life, or a part of my life that I'm sharing with you. If you don't know me already, I'm Bonita. I am from rural Kansas. I was raised by Depression-era parents who raised me very much the way that they were raised. And so I share frugal tips and tricks with you and share thoughts with you about how to save money as we go through these trying times together. I am so glad that you're here. Thanks for joining me today. So let's get started. So I wanted to talk to you about some of the foods that I brought with me, some of my options for shopping down here, and what I'm doing to make ends meet in the food budget. Now, my budget for food right now is about $122 a month. If I can go less than that, I will. As you know, my husband is still in Kansas. He has some obligations there that he is taking care of. He is also on the other half of my budget, so that's why my food allowance is so low. So as we get started today, I wanted to tell you what I had last night for supper. It was so delicious. I had 2 Oscar Mayer hot dogs chopped up and fried like you would do Polska kielbasa. I used to do this a lot when the kids were younger, and sometimes we would have that as our main meat for the meal, just chopped up hot dogs fried. If you've not had a fried hot dog, it is a game changer. I'm not really into boiled hot dogs. I do like them on the grill, but I have to have them fried. It makes all the difference. And then I used some of my tomatoes that I brought from Kansas that I had brought in during the winter, and they didn't finish growing all of the way, as you can see, because these were supposed to be large tomatoes. So their consistency on the inside is a little mushy and a little weird. And then my plant went ahead and died off, and this is what I was left with, and they turned red in the sunshine in the window. I chopped some of these up and sauteed them with my hot dogs. They tasted like fresh sauteed tomatoes, even though the consistency was weird when I chopped them. So I'm so glad I brought these with me. Oh my gosh, they were so good. And then I also had some sweet potatoes that I had brought. I peeled and chopped one of those and fried it, and well, sauteed it, I should say, on the side, because I didn't use anything other than pan spray. So I had a sauteed sweet potato, sauteed tomatoes, and sauteed hot dogs. And it was all in one pan, kind of like a breakfast bowl, all partitioned off, and it was so delicious. Super cheap, super delicious. Sometimes I think we try too hard to come up with really, really good meal ideas when some of these simple meal ideas are so delicious. I had my vitamin A in my sweet potato. I had my vitamin C in my tomato, and I had my meat. Now, I don't eat hot dogs very often. I know a lot of people don't like them. My husband doesn't particularly like them. And I brought some of those frozen foods with me to use up out of my freezer so that he would still have food there out of our pantry, and that I would have food that I could use up here. So let me show you some of the frozen foods that I brought that I'm working with. As you can see, I have a small freezer, and here's my onions and my celery that we were talking about. I'm continuing to add to them. I have another package of hot dogs. I have a partial package of frozen bologna. I have some large chicken breasts that I brought. I have some boneless chicken breasts. I have a pound of hamburger, and I have a partial bag of bacon. I also brought these plant crumbles that are supposed to be like meat that I brought with me. They were something I had bought on sale with a rebate. I do eat plant-based once in a while, so I have those. I also have some frozen blueberries and some frozen peas. And so that's what I have brought with me in the frozen area to work with. Now, many of you know I have shared I am not much of a meat eater. I am not vegetarian. I am not vegan. I just don't particularly care for a whole lot of meat. So that's why when you see my freezer, or you see some of the things that I'm going to be making while I'm living here by myself for a while, it's not going to have a lot of meat in it. I primarily buy meat because my husband enjoys meat. But when I'm not with him, a lot of times I will forego the meat. And that's a huge money saver. Even just to have just a tiny bit for flavoring, but not really like a huge portion, that's good enough for me. So that's some of the things you might be seeing as you're going forward with me, watching me make some things. They were things that I would maybe make at lunch when he wasn't around, or I would make on a day that he wasn't home. These are ways that I enjoy eating, and it's not something huge that I'm going to have a ton of leftovers, but it's something that I can eat and enjoy and still have a really good meal. I also have free oranges. Basically, this is an all-you-can-eat bar down here when it comes to produce. These are off my father-in-law's tree. He lives down here also. He said, take all that you want. He has been making homemade fresh orange juice. They're falling off the tree. They're in the park on people's lots. We're not allowed to pick them if they're on somebody else's lot. I don't have a fruit tree on my lot. I do have a palm tree, but there are open spaces that people can park and plug in for overnighters. And there's orange trees all along that are just loaded. So I can get them there even if I don't have someone's property that will let me pick them. But I had one last night for dessert. Oh my gosh, so delicious. If you've never had a fresh orange that has not been shipped to a store and sat there, I encourage you to see if you can try it when you're in the South. So delicious. And some of them are not beautiful. So these would never make it to the store, but you cut them open and they're fine. I mean, they may look a little banged up, but they have a thick peel on them that protects them. Nothing wrong with these. And it's just amazing how good they are when you open them up, because you would never see something like this in the store and you would probably never purchase it. So as I am replenishing and buying things for my simple meals here in the camper, and I'm using a lot of the things that I brought with me to try to make ends meet until I get the feel for the shopping around here. I'm going to share with you the shopping things that I find as well. For instance, I did some research. Many of you know I've shared that there's an HEB store down here. It's a little pricey, and I am not familiar with HEB, but a lot of people that follow me on social media have told me also that they live down here and it's pricey. So I did some research this morning and I wanted to share with you what my options are for shopping. So if you move or if you're traveling, or even if you're not getting the best deals, these could all be options for you if you have them in your area. In November of 23, there was a report that came out that included the cheapest grocery stores, and they were Aldi. There's not one of those down here. Winco, there's not one of those. Grocery Outlet, there's not any of those. Market Basket, I've never heard of that, but there's not one of those. Food for Less, I don't have that either. Little, no Little down here. Save a Lot, no Save a Lot. Price Right, there's no Price Right. And then Marks, which I guess is only in Ohio, that's Marcs, and Walmart, which, as you know, which I have never really shopped at Walmart. I always found it pricey where I lived. So it was usually a last resort that I would go to Walmart for anything. If I couldn't find it somewhere else, I would check Walmart. So those are the top cheapest grocery stores in America right now. Let me know if you have any of these near you and if you shop any of them and if you find that they are indeed some of the cheaper ones. I know that a few of you have shared with me that you have Little up around the Baltimore area. I know there's a Winco around Oklahoma City. We have Aldi's in Kansas. And we used to have a Food for Less, but there's no Food for Less anymore. I think there used to be a Save a Lot, but I don't believe there's any of those anymore. So, I mean, basically that entire list other than Aldi is about, and Walmart is about the only thing that I had back in Kansas. And then down here out of that list, only Walmart. So I researched some of the stores that I shopped at home regularly just to see if there are places that I can do a walkthrough, see if there's things I can pick up that will supplement me and will be cost effective. There is a Dollar Tree that is within a couple of miles of me. There is a 99-cent store. Now, I've heard about these. I've never been in one. Let me know if you have. I don't know if it's worth my 21-minute drive, but I'm tempted when I go that direction, if I go that direction for something else, to stop by, walk through, see if it's worth my time. You know, where I lived at in Kansas, a 21-minute drive was how far you had to go to like get your car tags, pay your property taxes, a lot of those things. So 21 minutes isn't a huge amount of time. But when I live now in a metro area, I would like to be able to shop as close to home as I can just to save gas and to save time. It seems kind of silly to be spending a lot of money on gas. And that's one of the things that I plan on cutting way back while I'm here is how much I spend on gas. Now that everything's within so close a driving distance, I should be able to use that money somewhere else and really cut my gas in my budget back. There's also a Sam's Club that's about 27 minutes away. However, we do have a Sam's Club membership. We do not have a Costco one, and we only buy a couple of things there. There's some gluten-free crackers at Sam's Club that my husband really likes that we can buy in bulk for a good price there, rather than buying like a little 6-ounce package for a third of the cost at any regular grocery store. So we buy the gluten-free crackers there pretty regularly. And once in a while we buy cat food and cat litter there, but we just don't really utilize that a whole lot. In fact, we had discussed whether or not it was even worth it to continue the membership. Now, there is a couple of Asian stores within driving distance, and I do like to shop there to buy some things. And there is some Hispanic stores down here, and I am planning on checking some of those out that are close by to see what their prices are like. And there is a Sprouts that's about 10 miles away. The Sprouts where I lived at had closed, but we have farmers markets down here that I plan on utilizing. We also have a produce truck that comes to our park office on Fridays, I believe. I'm going to try to catch him. So I don't plan on buying a lot of produce other than buying it from local producers if I can do that. Other cheap grocery stores that you may have in your area are Trader Joe's. They didn't make like the top 10, but they were like 11. And I have found that they do have some really cost-effective things. None of those are down here. Smart and Final, there's none of those. And there's no flash food app options down here. Nothing in the area. And the Too Good To Go app that I had heard people talk about, where you could go close to closing and either get grocery boxes of things marked down for a cheap price, or you could get food at a restaurant close to closing for a cheap price. There was one person listed on that in this area, and they were sold out. And it was like a bakery with cookies. So neither one of those work. They didn't work where I lived before, but I thought, what the heck? I'm going to check while I'm down here. I'm now in a metro area. They still didn't work here. I have heard some people say that they have that ability at other places, but that's not an option here too. So if you have any other ideas of places I should check while I'm here, let me know. Other stores that you've heard of. I did see a Dollar Bins on my maps that I'm going to check out. It's also 21 minutes away. So when I go that way to check out some of those other discount stores, I will walk through that. Never heard of it before. Not really sure what it is. If it has food, I'm not really sure. So that's where I'm at this week on making do with what I have, using up what I have, and continuing to live frugally, even though I am early retirement in an RV in South Texas. Other than my location and my shopping options, I am not going to change the way I live. So come along for the ride. I will continue to share tips and tricks with you, and I'm so glad that you joined me today. If this video has given you any value, please give me a thumbs up, and I hope to see you soon.